Cleaning your espresso machine is something that a lot of people neglect to do, and that's very unfortunate because it's actually quite easy. Let's start with the group head. So I have right here cleaning chemical. This is called Cafcia. And then you'll notice that for my actual portafilter, I took out the normal basket that I use and I put in this blank one. So this is called an Espresso blank, and there's no holes in the bottom. I'm going to pour some Cafcia into this blank with the spoon on the end of my cleaning machine or cleaning tool. So I'm going to scoop 1 scoopful of Cafcia into my espresso blank. And then I'm going to insert it into the machine. Notice I didn't take the screen of the group head off. And the reason I didn't do that is because actually the screen works to break up the clumps of Cafcia. Because sometimes if you take the screen off and then backflush with Cafcia, those clumps will actually clog little orifices in the machine and could eventually stop the water from coming out completely. Happens quite a bit. So just to kind of avoid that problem, backflush with Cafcia with the screen on. So in order to start the process, I'm just going to turn my machine on for 10 seconds. I'm going to let it run. And if you're using an automatic machine, this should already be programmed in it. I'm going to let this run for 10 seconds and then I'm going to turn it off. And if I am using a Linea Mini, which is this machine here, I'm going to notice some kind of foamy water is ejected into the drip tray down here. And then when I see that foamy water rush out, sometimes it's brown if it hasn't been cleaned in a long time. That just tells me that the Cafcia is going through the machine. So I'm going to turn this on again for another 10 seconds. And you're going to want to do this whole cycle probably 3 to 5 times. So 10 seconds on, wait for it to flush out. 10 seconds on, wait for it to flush out, 10 seconds on, wait for it to flush out, and then you're done with the Cafcia cycle. So I'm going to do one more flush here. Wait 10 seconds. Turn it off. And then I'm going to take out my portafilter. And normally it's kind of like mucky brown water. I'm just going to pour all that out. And then I'm going to let my group head run and just kind of get all that foamy water out. And I'm going to also use that water to kind of wash out my espresso blank. Because after we backflush with Cafcia, we're going to backflush with just normal water. So nothing inside the blank. But this time, when we do it with normal water, we're going to take the screen off so that we can clean the screen in the meantime. So I have a flathead screwdriver. And I'm just going to go in here and unscrew the screen. So now that my screen's off, I can still see that there's some bits of gunk around the edges. So you can drop this in a cup of hot water with Cafcia. You can take a rag, run over and make sure that there's no bits of coffee grounds stuck in it. And while I do that, I'm going to backflush for a second time. Same process, 3 times for 10 seconds. But this time I'm not going to put Cafcia in it. So I'm just going to be flushing water through. And the purpose of this is to clean out all the chemical that we just put in there. Because if a little bit of this chemical gets in an actual espresso shot, it's going to taste really just atrocious. Just take my word. You don't want to try it. So I'm going to put this back on. I'm going to start the backflushing process again. Gonna make sure that my screen is clean. I usually just take my brush here and I just kind of brush the inside and the outside of the screen. What I'm doing here is I'm ensuring that no fine grounds are clogging any of these micro holes inside the screen. Because sometimes those grounds, if they remain inside, they can kind of give an off taste to the espresso that you're pulling. So by scrubbing it like this, you're just making sure that the next shot that you pull is clean tasting. And then once my screen is off, sometimes I'll just let it run with no screen and just kind of make sure on the underside of the espresso machine, I'm kind of scrubbing in there as well. Then you're going to want to put your screen with your screw back on. And careful, this is really hot. You can burn yourself pretty easily. But you're just going to tighten your flathead. You don't want to twist too tight or else you might damage the screen. But you just want to twist it until it's pretty snug in there. And then I'm going to take my blank out of my portafilter. And then I'm just going to get my normal basket, put it back in. And technically what you should do is after you water backflush, you should run just a normal espresso shot through it and then dump it out. Because that's just to ensure that there's no remaining Cafcia left in there. So we call that a seasoning shot. So you're just going to run just normal espresso shot. I don't even put a cup underneath. I just let it dump out. So that's backflushing. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to clean the steam wand. So I have a pitcher of ice water here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cup of ice water up to the pitcher. I'm going to turn on my steam wand, let it run for a little bit, and I'm going to turn it off. And if you're really quiet, you can hear there's actually a suction noise that's pulling some of that ice water back into the steam wand. And so what that's doing is it's actually cleaning out the inside of the steam wand, any milk residue that's been left in there. So I'm just going to do this a few times. I usually do it until the ice water gets not ice water. So I usually wait until the ice water heats up. And then I'm going to take this off. And because the pitcher is still hot, you can kind of wipe off all the milk residue on this really easily. So you just want to get this shining. And then one final steam. And that's super simple. So what you want to do is probably you want to backflush at least twice a day. So I usually say after your morning rush, you're going to want to backflush with Cafcia. And then right before you close, you're going to want to backflush and clean your machine. It's also good to do just water backflushes throughout the day. So no Cafcia, maybe every other hour, you're just running water through your machine. And that's just to like be on top of the cleaning cycle so that it doesn't build up for 6 hours until you can finally clean it after your morning rush. And then for cleaning your steam wand, I typically just do this as I close. So those are the basics of backflushing your espresso machine and cleaning your steam wand. Thanks for watching.